Good Sunday afternoon, July 10th. This is the response to the Emerson discussion board. I enjoyed this discussion board so much because, first of all, as you already know, because I've hinted at, I just love the transcendentalists. I love their um, the marriage between the intuition and the intellect. I like their belief in the goodness of the world and the divinity of all life, all nature, and their belief in in the power of the restorative power of nature and their healthy skepticism of technology. These kinds of things, I really love. Patrick said that he also enjoys thinking about civilization, society, conformity, and issues like that. And so I do too. And so the transcendentalists, Fuller, looking at the roles of women and their place in society, and Emerson and Thoreau. These three thinkers and writers, I just love. I visited Concord, Massachusetts 2 summers ago and did a 2 week long study there with some other researchers and community college faculty, and just had a blast learning more about this time period and these thinkers in particular. So I enjoyed your discussion board because you seem somewhat taken by this material as well. Melissa had noted that she really enjoyed it, and um, Susie did too, I think. And so yeah, and it shows in your discussions. They're very good. What's noteworthy this go round, how much you relied on the text and quoted from the text, which is really what I've been looking for all along. So that was very strong this week. Just about everybody pulled out really significant passages to use, either as a springboard to discussion or to support ideas that you had. So that was really super good. The very first thread, I think Sue started, and it was with Sue and Melissa, Ashley, and Patrick, where they talked about aversion to self-reliance. That was just so good because it was a discussion. It was a real conversation. And, nobody repeated anything or just said, great job. They would actually, someone would take something the other person wrote and then add to or expand on or whatever. So that was a great thread. You might want to reread the very first one. I liked in the second thread about truth. I forget who started that thread. I'm sorry. It might have been Patrick. But in Patrick's response in that particular thread, he noted where Emerson and some other thinkers and philosophers kind of felt like society was like falling apart in the 19th century. And that's important to think about. Sometimes we look back and think, these were more innocent times, simpler times, and everything was honky-dory, so to speak. But that isn't how people who lived then felt at all. And as a matter of fact, some of the technological advances from the railroad, increased industrialization, the use of steam power and things like that, these sorts of advancements were cause for concern for the people of the 19th century. And there are a lot of similarities between the people of the 19th, or the thinking and the feeling of the 19th century and advancements and things like that in our life today. Sorry to keep saying Patrick's name, but in another post, the thread that he started, he noted how our reliance on technology uh, is often viewed as something that takes away our ability to be thinking people. We rely on technology and others' applications that they built and whatnot to take care of us, and that this worries some people. This is not a new worry, so it's kind of an interesting thing to see people from, what, 150, 160 years ago or so feeling the same way as we feel today and writing about these same issues. I also like that Patrick brought up, and it's an important tenet of transcendentalism, is the reliance on intuition. It's not just the rational thinking, but it's also that gut feeling. I think Davin also mentioned, they tell you go with your first guess, kind of like saying like that's your gut feeling and that's your intuition, and that we should rely more on our intuition to arrive at the truth. Um, the ultimate lesson in self-reliance, I really liked how Melissa and Ashley as well, in that particular thread, used their own experiences um, and made connections between their own experiences and what they were reading. That was really good. I will say, though, that you want to be real careful about your definition of self-reliance according to Emerson, because he wasn't so much talking about look out for yourself and take care of yourself and be completely independent. He was talking more about, and I have to quote Sue, in her response to Christie's thread. Christie had started a thread on the definition of self-reliance. And in response to that, Sue had written something that I think really just sums up the idea of what self-reliance is. So I do want you to be careful and not think about it kind of the way we do, like take care of yourself. Because in today's world, we collaborate a lot more. The internet and the information age allows much more collaboration, but this doesn't mean people aren't self-reliant according to Emerson's definition. Look at Google. They're probably one of the most collaborative and most innovative and most self-reliant, if you go by Emerson's definition, company that there is out there. And here's how Sue responded. There was more before it, but in this particular sentence, I think she really captured it when she says, perhaps it was Emerson's intent to promote critical thinking and self-reflection in order to develop an authentic individual. The self-reliant person, as opposed to someone who does not know thyself, would have much more to offer society, which at the time was struggling to find its own identity apart from Europe. I just love that. That's really, in a nutshell, what it's all about, because the other thing we have to think about is Emerson is a philosopher and a thinker and a writer who is, trying to help create an American identity, an American body of literature, an American way of looking at the world. Let's remember we're in American literature, so that was really good. The last thing I want to talk about is the idea of the divine. That was some good discussion there. Let's see. Regina had started a thread, we are all divine. Melissa had started a thread, who is divine? Stephen had given some interesting responses, sort of probably counter to some other people's way of thinking, and I liked those discussions about who is divine. And yes, according to Emerson, we are all divine. And this was something that, caused a bit of a stir. If you think about the Puritans, we're created by God. There is an elect, a select few who might go to heaven, but we're born with the taint of original sin. And we are not divine, we're a bunch of sinners. And so to say that we are all divine was rather, disturbing to some. And even today, that still bothers people. Some people don't really want to think in those terms. And you can think and believe what you want, but according to Emerson, we are all divine. Nature is divine. A lot of power can be garnered from nature. But that means all of nature. If there's a flood, that's divine. If there's a tornado, that's divine. We can't just look at it in terms of how it impacts human beings, but all human beings are divine. And if we try to kind of figure out what exactly it is we as each individual is supposed to sort of be and do and what role we're supposed to play, that helps us become even more, divine. Emerson believed in this concept of the oversoul. There's this divine, it's like God, really, the oversoul, and we're all a part of that. We have a little bit of that in us, all of us. And this was opposed to some conventional Christian thinking. As someone noted, and I'm sorry I forget who, it might have been Melissa, Emerson broke away from conventional Christianity. He was a Unitarian for a while, which is probably the most sort of liberal sort of Christian group. And then even beyond that, he broke from them later. He did not believe in the divinity of Christ. He believed Christ was a great man and a wonderful role model, very self-reliant, a real critical thinker and a real individual. But he didn't believe in the divinity of Christ. And so, this is going to get people in trouble during a time when, a lot of those Puritan values are still in play. That would get people in trouble today, some, So it doesn't bother me. I know it might bother some of you, that idea. And it's okay. You don't have to agree with it. But that's what Emerson was all about and what he was saying. I really liked Brittany's post about the ultimate lesson, because she did bring up that great quote, to be great is to be misunderstood. And that is one of the great quotes. There are so many of them, and a lot of you brought them out. So I think I've discussed everything I need to discuss. Overall, a very strong week, and I enjoyed that discussion board very much, and hope you have a great week, and I guess I'll end it here.